And those states right now, the leading candidate there is New Jersey, because the whole thing came through. We got the wet signature from the magistrate, federal magistrate, and they're on their way. We got California, and California has received the claim number, and we are going to serve the governor. Hopefully we'll get a sheriff or a federal marshal, but anybody, tell me if this is true, Rick, anybody can actually serve in this case. Isn't that right, Rick?
That is correct. That is correct. We
Excellent.
just need to get them served.
Okay,
And
excellent.
we also have a tort claim, a mass tort claim against Bill Gates and the CDC.
Now, is it true that all those tort claims, or is it just the one in Washington that is against the CDC?
No, they're all against the CDC.
That's what I thought. It's at the
Yeah,
end
they're
of
all in there.
claim. Right, it's mentioned. Okay, so question number 2. What about the fines, Rick? What can we do with this? What do we have to pay?
No, they're unlawful fines. They're outside their jurisdiction, number one. Number two, what I've been telling, like Bob the barber that I've been fighting for up here in Snohomish, Washington, is when you see something come in as a citation, you just put on the envelope, return to sender, and send it back. Ignore it. And they were coming at Bob with $20,000 a day if he stayed open. Guess what? Bob was cutting hair today.
And he didn't pay one fine.
I love Bob.
No, they can't enforce a fine that has no basis in law.
And this is a real important point. The governors are lying. The health department are lying. They are putting out executive orders or mandates. They are not law. They do not go through legislation, which that it has to do to make it be a law. And they are saying that it is law, and they're confusing the people. So even good people that aren't aware of all of us here, even good people are believing that it's law. And we got to
educate domestic terrorism.
Right.
That's
exactly.
an act of domestic terrorism.
So
and as we go ahead.
What happens if they don't pay the fine? They send it back, and then is there any occurrence at all? Was anything ever done where they went and arrested them for not paying?
Absolutely not, because he was never properly served. They're afraid to walk to his establishment and hand him a citation because they know what's going to happen. They know exactly what's going to happen, and I'm going to come after him. And if you ever do sign a citation, the first thing you would want to do is put a box around the signature page and then sign your name in there, and then put at the end of it U.D, under duress. And if you ever show up in court on it, you can say, I only signed that under duress. And when you put a box around under Contract Law 101, if it's got a box around it, that's the only thing you're agreeing to is what's in that box.
Right.
Okay, so a box around the U.D?
No, you put the first thing you do is you draw the box around where they want you to sign.
Okay.
I mean, this is just if you're dealing with somebody that's threatening to take you to jail or whatever, if you don't sign, this is the last resort. You put a box around the signature where you're supposed to put your signature. Draw a box around it, a rectangle, excuse me, and then sign your name in it, and then put U.D in that box. Under Contract Law 101, what that means is I'm only agreeing to what's in that box, and I did it under duress. So the whole citation.
Now, what happens legally when you do that and they read that? What does that communicate to them?
Well, anybody that's educated in law, contract law, they automatically know what you're doing. Most police officers or health inspectors are not going to know that. But when it gets brought into a clerk's office and she sees that, she knows exactly what you've already done, because that's Contract Law 101.
Now, for the sake of everyone here knowing the answer to what I'm going to ask Rick now, please pardon us, because some people aren't aware of it, and it's always good to go over it. Rick, could you explain to them why it's important to get a constitutional lawyer that is not, let's say, loyal to the bar, but He's a lawyer and not an attorney, and why that's important.
Okay, it's always best because when you hire a bar attorney, and that stands for British Accredited Registry, a bar member, okay, they're beholding to a foreign entity. They're beholding to the crown, so to speak. Not so to speak. That's what they're holding out to. Now, when you hire a bar attorney, that automatic, this is in the law books, you can look this up. When you hire a bar attorney, their first priority is to protect the court. And when you hire that bar attorney, it automatically makes you an infant or an imbecile of unsound mind. Now, how many people are aware of that one? They automatically give jurisdiction to the court. With a constitutional lawyer, I go in there and I defend my client. I don't protect the bar. I don't protect the court. As a matter of fact, when I go in there, I'm on the offense immediately, and I'm going after the judge, and I'm going after where do you have jurisdiction and by what authority. And that's how you handle it. Anybody worth their weight in salt, I mean, when they know the difference, there's plenty of constitutional lawyers out there. You go in as assistance of counsel. Under the Sixth Amendment, you have the right to assistance of counsel. It does not say you have the right to a bar attorney. The word attorn comes from the word attorn, which is Latin, that means to twist. And what does an attorney do? He twists the truth.
Exactly. And so when you hire a bar attorney, his oath is to the court and not to his client.
That and the British Accredited Registry.
Right. And so your chances of winning that case is null. It's just very, especially with something like this with patriotic duties.
Absolutely. Why do you think that when you go into a criminal court, why they have a 98% success rating, the prosecutors? Think
Right.
about it.
Exactly. That's
Hey,
good.
Christo, this is Hank Adamany from the FTBA. I want to go back to that first question because the impression I was getting from Rick is that we are talking about civil suits against these people, against the governors. Is that correct?
Well,
Yeah, well,
originally wasn't going to do that, but it came back as a civil suit. Go ahead, Rick.
yeah, well, everything, to be honest with you, everything is commercial. Our court system is, if you look up any district court under Dun and Bradstreet, you will see that they are a for-profit corporation. Look up your county courthouses and stuff. They are listed in the Dun and Bradstreet. So everything's going to come off as a civil or commercial transaction. And that's when you look at, you start doing, and I don't really want to get too far into that because I don't want to lose people on this. But when you find out what's really going on in the court systems, when it's all about bonding and things of that nature, because we have a de facto court system right now. We do not have a de jure court system as we were promised in our Constitution.
So just go over that, de facto and de jure.
Okay, de jure is a common law court, okay? If there's an injured party, then there's a tort claim against it, okay? And a de facto court, you're dealing with statutes and codes and all kinds of other things. And you're dealing with bonding. You're dealing with, it's almost like a bank. Well, it is a banking system, basically, is what you're dealing with.
So the court system,
Yeah.
go ahead. Oh, the bar court system is actually a corporation for profit. Isn't that right?
That is absolutely correct. That's what most Americans are totally unaware of. We've been hijacked. The Bar Association made its play in 1909 in Chicago, Illinois, and then it made its way through the rest of the states like a cancer cell and didn't, by the grace of God, hit Texas until 1939. And what you're dealing with is now everything's become de facto, and it's not about serving the injured party. It's about serving the pockets of whoever has the most money.
So in actual fact, when you go into court, you announce, Rick, that you are a constitutional lawyer, and how do you change it from being a bar court session to a constitutional session?
When I go into a courtroom, a lot of times the judges will come at me first off, and I'll be there with my client, and they'll say, well, Mr. Martin, you're not licensed to practice law. And I'll scratch my head and look a little bemused, and I'll look at the judge, and I will say to the judge, Judge, are we on the record? Yeah, we're on the record. I said, good. I said, do you have a license to practice law, Judge? Well, of course I do. I'm the judge. Great. I'll look over at the prosecutor, and I'll ask the same question. Do you have a license to practice law? Well, of course I do. I'm the prosecutor. I said, great. May I see it? And then they pull out that bar card, which is the Bar Association, and not, it's not a license. It's not sanctioned by the state. The state has to sanction the license. It's like if I go and get a driver's license, right? So this is where you nail them. Now I'll look at them and say, okay, well, this is not a license. This is an association. This is a membership card. I said, now you've just perjured yourself on the record. What are we going to do about that now? And that's how you start pinning them in.
Gotcha.
And I've been in the courtroom over 100 times, and most judges know who I am. Most of them don't want to deal with it. I've had judges literally, when I walk in the courtroom, have a full courtroom, and I'll walk in there with my client, and the judge has run off the bench, literally, and never came back.
Gotcha.
Never came back the whole day.
Next question. Governor Newsom, he has his brown shirts, his ABC, his CHP, his health department going around to all the businesses and shutting them down. Why do they have the authority to do that? It's not law. Why is there why are we deprived of the rights under color of law?
Because we don't know the Constitution, we don't know our rights. If you don't know your rights, you have no rights. That's the bottom line on that. You've got to stand up, and you've got to take action and force them out by making them adhere to their oath of office. And when you go after them, like I said, we've got to become the offense. We got to be the ones on the offense. Best defense is a great offense. We got to start making it extremely uncomfortable for them by threatening them, by knowing the law, coming back at them and saying, listen, you can be nice in the beginning, because I've been nice to cops in the beginning and health inspectors. I said, listen, you're being held out as cannon fodder right now. But if you knowingly and willingly proceed with writing me a citation or closing down my business, once I've explained the law to you, now you no longer have judicial immunity. I can come after you in your private capacity, take your house, your car, your swimming pool, everything you own, and leave you shredded underwear, homeless on the street. Is it worth it to you to write that citation? How many of you think will always say, oh, yeah, it's worth it to me? I want to be held as cannon fodder for a governor that's acting outside his oath of office, that we have a tort claim against, that's possibly looking at the end of a rope when we're done. Yeah, they don't want to do this.
Man,
You're going to be more intimidating than they are. You've got to be more intimidating, and the law is there to protect our rights, not infringe on them.